Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Drew. I'm so good. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing so good. Talk about a crazy event last week. It was nuts. Nuts. Such a,
That was shocking, bro.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for your connection and your willing to like ability to get him there. Like that was amazing.
It was
Amazing.
awesome, dude. And I just want to thank you. I know we both made posts about it, but and we say it all the time. This group of people, dude, is just so down to earth, so genuine. And a lot of the people that showed up last week were word of mouth invites from all of our regular attendees. So if you guys are watching this and you attend regularly, we thank you so much. Like Drew and I are consistently blown away just by the support and the people who show up. And it's amazing. So it's a great group to be a part of, and we look forward to keep growing this thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And seriously, like we talk about it and it's actually something that we want to work on is our marketing, but you guys have done a boatload of marketing for us, and so it was to have that many people. It shows that there's a need, a want, and that you guys understand and respect what we put on. And so and we respect you guys for coming. So seriously, thank you all so much for
Yeah.
everything you guys do. And for those of you who aren't familiar or missed it, we actually had the one, the only Andrew Dobbins that came in and spoke about his business and how he has been working to grow it uh, from basically the ground zero to $30 million in revenue by vertically integrating several different trades businesses piece by piece by piece. And it's just been insane.
That's freaking nuts.
Yeah, it's freaking insane.
30 milli. Good Lord.
When he was telling us that story, I was like, wow, that's insane. Am I lagging out hella bad on your screen?
A little bit, but you're good.
Okay,
You're
cool,
good. It
cool.
could be also my connection because my Wi-Fi sucks at my office.
No, mine.
Um, But dude, even and then we'll get on with the video, but even his he broke down every division in his business and how he's been able, oh my God, it was just like being on the level we're on, it almost seems impossible to get to that level. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many moving pieces, but the reality is that's a 10, 15 year process that he's, worked on over time. But you just look at that and you're like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
That's freaking amazing, dude. I mean, it's actually mind-boggling, and I was speechless when he was speaking. So very cool.
And he shared a bunch of information, lots of crazy things. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Kate or I. We can kind of go in depth about what he shared. But I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. Even just how many trucks he has, how many call center people he has, what's this, how the process of inbounding and outbounding a new client or like a new appointment. It's insane and incredible how he's been able to put it all together. And like you said, I can't even imagine having the volume of clientele that he has. And he manages it very, very well. So,
Crazy. Well, with that in mind, Drewski, what is our next guest speaker and our next event?
yeah, so very, very excited. He's a very well-rounded person, to say the least. So we're trying to find a really awesome speaker to back that up, and I feel like we did a really good job coming up with one. So we're actually going to be having Dr. Jim Balzarek, I think is how you pronounce his name, Balzarek. And he is currently the provider acquisition specialist at Tucson Medical Center. So he's a headhunter for doctors when TMC is looking for new doctors. But in his past, he was a surgical practice owner for, I believe it was Arizona Surgery Center. Looking at his LinkedIn right now, with a practice on Southwest Surgery Associates with a practice on endocrine surgery, trauma surgery, and critical care. But he also is a general so for the National Guard. So the dude has a super duper well-rounded uh resume, and he's done a lot. So I think that he'll be able to to really speak to a lot of different aspects of life, military, professional, the correlation between the two, how to start your own business, and then just be an awesome link to TMC if you have any interest in either volunteering or learning more about TMC or getting connected with their foundation. Um, yeah, there's a lot there. So very excited about that.
That is awesome. And that date is
Is
April
April 20.
26th.
Yep. Yep. From 5:30 to 8:30.
Great. So April 26th, 5:30 to 8:30. Um, Guys, and if you haven't been or you have been coming, invite people. If as one of the things I found to be a benefit when I'm just out meeting people, networking, whatever, just in my day-to-day business, you can bring a ton of value simply by an invite to an event at the Sands Club at the U of A. I mean, just that alone is awesome. It's free. It's at the U of A. Who doesn't like the Sands Club? And you get to meet with an incredible business owner slash, celebrity of Tucson, right? Along with networking with just other like-minded people. So you can bring that value to someone who you just met. Maybe they're a client of yours, maybe they're a prospect of yours that you kind of want to grow closer with, and you just want to, bless them or provide value to them, invite them. I mean, these are great events with great people, and they can get really connected really fast by meeting some of the people in our group. And I'm not kidding. So if you guys, as you're going out throughout this month, keep the 26th, 5:30 to 8:30 at the Sands in the back pocket, so you can just simply invite people, to make it out. So Drew, with that in mind, would you kick us off with your updates, or do you want me to start?
I'll kick off because I also want to add to that real quick as well. Yeah, totally. Invite anybody. And, the biggest, I know Cade hears it. I hear it. I'm sure other members in the group have heard it. Like, people feel like they can't come because they're not a business owner or they're not in real estate. Like, I want to really drive home that we're not just a real estate or business owner group. Like, if you're a nurse that's just looking to learn a little bit more about TMC and how it works, go. If you're a doctor that's potentially wanting to get a job at TMC, go. If you're just
Yeah.
a regular person who doesn't really know where they're going or what they're doing, but you want to get some exposure to a wide variety of people, go. There's something for everyone there. So,
Yeah.
want to hit that home.
Beautiful. Love it.
Well, cool. Well, going over, Cade and I were talking actually at the beginning of this episode, or at the beginning before we started recording. We're really excited because now we have a full quarter of this year to kind of share. The market has been pretty lucrative in the S&P. Now, remember, when I share these statistics, the S&P does have those, magnificent seven stocks that I've mentioned in previous videos, or the seven highest grossing stocks at this point. Those tech companies like Facebook, Amazon, Google, Nvidia, Tesla, that kind of inflate the market a little bit. So the S&P has done much better than the other ones, but year to date, the S&P 500 is up almost 10%, just under 9.61. And it's last week down about 0.58%. The Dow Jones this year is down about 0.5, so pretty flatlined. But last week, it was up 3.71%. So possibly some good positive stuff coming in. And then the Russell 2000 was up about 2.28% year to date. And again, down 1.19% last week. So definitely some mixed market volatility there. And I guess the key takeaway that I'll have is the same I usually have. The key is really sticking to the belief system of time in the market rather than timing the market. Who knows where the market's going to go? Last year, everyone thought that the market was going to be down. I personally thought that the market was going to be down and it ended up being up 24.5%. So I went into this year thinking, I'm probably going to be down. And this year, the market's up 10%. So no one really knows what's going to happen. And we can sit here and track CPI and unemployment and all the really big indicators to see, what our best educated guess is on where the market's going to go. But generally speaking, I don't have a crystal ball, and so we don't really know where it's going to go. So just keeping that day-to-day or monthly investment pattern that you have continuous is going to be the most important part and the most advantageous for you. So that's my info. Kate, I'll kick it over to you for yours.
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of you. The idea that we don't have a crystal ball, we can't predict the future. Guess what? You'd be correct, Drew, as everyone else in the world. So I just want to make sure people are aware when we go over this data, which it is data, right? Who the heck knows what happens? You think people in 2008 were expecting that? People in the Great Depression? Like, no one freaking knows. So just learn the data that makes sense to you, make decisions that make sense for you, seek professional guidance, get their opinion, because that's probably the best opinion you can get, and then go from there. Okay. So, in regards to the real estate market, many people think that, we're headed for a crash. They have thought that for a couple of years now. And what I would say to that is I'm just going to look at the data. So I'm very excited to share February's numbers along with March numbers to show you how we've kind of progressed over the past 2 months as we head into quarter two. Okay, so we're rounding out quarter one, heading into quarter two, and I just want to give you some metrics. So number of listings, okay, that have sold. All right. Actually, let's go over number of listings that are active on the market. So in February, this is for all of Pima County. Okay, guys, all of Pima County. So this is your Tucson. This is your Marana. This is Oro Valley. This is Sahuarita, Vail, Green Valley, all of Pima County. Okay. Active listings in February of this year was 3,860. In March, we had 3,619. So we had a decrease in the active listings, okay, month over month. So as we end quarter one, we're at a lower number of active listings. For sold price, so the median sale price for all of Pima County in February was 368,000, and for March we came in at 365,000. So a little bit of a decrease. So we saw both a decrease in the number of listings and a slight decrease in the sale price on average. Okay. For the absorption rate, and again, this is the most important metric I think you can really study in real estate, because this tells us, are we in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or both? And then that gives you kind of your position when it comes to whatever it is you're doing. If you're investing in real estate, if you want to buy, if you want to sell, all you really need to understand is the absorption rate. Okay. And again, this is for all of Pima County. So it could change depending on where you live specifically. But for all Pima County, this kind of tells us our health. So in February, we came in at 3.31 months. And at March, we came in at 3.09 months. So almost 0.25% decrease in the absorption rate month over month from February to March, which tells me the velocity of the market's picking up. Okay. And if you're looking at this graph I'm looking at, it's a very sharp drop that we came down. Every other month over that month over month is pretty, small increases, and then it's a drop, right, in March. So that tells me the velocity of the market is starting to pick up. And one other way we could see that is days on market. So the average days on market for a home to sell was 61 days in February. And in March, it came in at 51 days. So 10-day drop month over month. Okay. So that's the market stats for Pima County. Usually I just do 1 month at a time, but I kind of wanted to show you guys February to March to show you how, to show you the specific changes month over month, and really more importantly, ending quarter one. So as we head into quarter two here in April, May, June, typically are some of the more hotter months for real estate. We see that velocity pick up. So it doesn't surprise me that we saw that drop in the absorption rate. Again, I always say it, but 0 to 4 months, you're in a seller's market. 4 to 6 months, you're kind of in both buyer and seller's market. And anything 6 months and above, you're in a buyer's market. So we're at 3. For all of Pima County, we're at 3 months. So we're still, technically, if you're just looking at that metric in a seller's market, Um, and the velocity is still there and still strong. So that's the real estate market for me, Drew.
I love that. Now, question, do you think that with a pickup in velocity and a decrease in potential, months on market, do you think that or days on market, do you think that there is a potential for house price increase over the next few months, or do you think it's going to stay pretty stagnant?
I think it will. I think statistically, when that absorption rate drops and is low, you have an increase in pricing. Um, as far as whether or not where the rates go, I think will greatly affect that because one thing you have to consider too is if your neighbor sells their house for 400 grand, okay, you as a neighbor might be like, okay, my house, is worth 400 grand. What you might not see is the fact that that seller credited 10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in concessions and repairs combined to that buyer in order to purchase that home. So really on paper, yeah, it sold for 400,000, but really technically it might have sold for 380 after, repairs and concessions are applied. So as a consumer, if you're looking at metrics like that, you might want to dig deeper because from my understanding, that's not public knowledge. You have to be a licensed agent to see that on the MLS. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure, but I think you do. So just my point being, you might want to dig in a little bit more to, what did it actually sell for? Because just on paper and on Zillow, completely different. Um, so in regards to your question, yes, I think we could see an increase, but by how much? I don't think much, just where rates are at. Your average mortgage payment right now is between 22 to 2,400 bucks, and how many people out there on average can make that monthly payment. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, right? I mean, we in Arizona, I think, are kind of on the higher end when it comes to income and jobs and all that. So I think we can weather that storm, but for the average person out there in America, I mean, is that long term, is that actually sustainable? I don't think so. So um ultimately to answer your question, yes, on average, I think that when that absorption rate drops, that tells us homes are selling quicker, they're in more demand, so naturally prices are going to rise. But by how much and how sustainable is that with where rates are? I don't know. What I do know is that we see right now with where rates are a lot more heavier down payments. People who come in out of state, or maybe they sell an existing house and they have, six figures, they have 80 grand, they have, 120 grand to put down on their house, to where that 5, 6, 7% interest rate, it's not as tough versus, I'm buying home with a VA loan, I'm buying it with an FHA loan, I'm putting barely nothing down and then carrying the rest at a 7% rate. Like, yeah, your monthly payment's going to be much more substantial because you owe more money. So that is something we're seeing, but overall, I think the summer will pick up in general. So I'm excited.
I love that. I love that. Well, if you have any real estate questions, especially like wondering if your neighbor's house sold for what it actually sold for, if there was concessions, definitely make sure to reach out to Cade. He's the man. He knows it all. He clearly, obviously, is knowledgeable. But yeah, thank you so much for teaching. I learned about absorption rate today that I didn't know before. So excited about that.
It's a beautiful metric.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. It's actually honestly the only thing I care about when I look at data. Because
Amazing.
that tells me right there everything I need to know, you know?
You make those proper inferences because it factors in all of the variables into one metric, which is awesome. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Well, cool. Well, we always like to end on a positive quote. And I know, Cade, you had one for today. So go ahead and share with it the amazing quote that you have.
Yeah. So the quote is, the most expensive thing that you can own is a closed mind. So
Love
it's
it.
very, very powerful. And Drew, I know you and I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit. When you first heard that quote, Drew, where did your mind go?
just honestly, it went to a good old term I learned in economics called opportunity cost. And that was by choosing one thing, you are missing out on the opportunity of the other decisions that you didn't make. So that's where my mind went. And so, by having that closed mind, you are turning away inherently all the other opportunities you could have access to
Yeah.
by just focusing and dialing in on the one thing that you are. And I think that that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with is having a closed mind. They hear what their parents say or what their family says or what they heard one professional say and they stick to it. And it's like that could be right, but there could be alternatives. So exploring those and making sure that what you have a baseline education around the situation. If you're making a decision or if you are trying to sell something, like if you're selling a home, you understand why there are renters and why there are sellers, not having that closed mind that all renter situations are bad, because that's not always the case, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where my mind went. How about you?
Yeah, I think that it's such a cool quote because it's like, oh, the most expensive thing you could own. Like you're getting ready for it, and then it just says is a closed mind. And then you're like, huh. And it just kind of makes you think. So I think for me, it it challenges me to look at things differently, not just business, but like personal life, my spiritual life, fitness, everything out there in the world. Do not come at it with a closed mind, you know? And so, in regards to business, I think that one of the things that kind of, reminded me of is, one of my mentors kind of says, what got you to the level you're at now is not going to get you to where you want to go. And so, for me, making, calling people, doing the meetups and things like that, it's great. I love it. But if my goal is to grow my business, doing all of those things is probably just going to keep me at the level I'm at now. If I want to grow exponentially, I have to get rid of that closed mindset and say, what areas are lacking and what areas do I need to focus in, hone in on, and learn to be able to grow? Because again, what got me to this level does not get me to where I want to go. And so I literally, at this level, at this point, I have to say, am I going to stay at this level, keep doing what I'm doing, or do I open up my mind, learn something new, which is hard, right? Learn something new, and then completely go all in on that one thing to try and then grow my business to the next level. So when you think of someone like an Andrew Dobbins, right? They're trying to hit 30 million in revenue. Okay. He didn't start year one doing that. So what he was doing and how he was spending his time year one is not how he's spending his time now, right? So it would be crazy. It's literally, that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So it would be insane of you for your business to say, I'm going to do the same thing every day and then like grow,
Mhm.
when what you're doing does not allow growth and it's not helping your business. That's insane. And
Absolutely.
so you have to open up your mind to other opportunities to see this guy's doing it this way. I like that way. Let me learn that way and let me apply it and see if it actually works. And yes, that might take pain. It might take growing pains. It might take failure. But so what? It's going to help me get to the next level, right? It's risky. So what? I'm going to do it. And so I don't know. That quote really spoke to me. I'm kind of in a transition period in my business where I'm, trying to grow at the moment and trying a new system and things like that. And so anyway, it's just really encouraging to hear that quote because again, it's just a beautiful reminder that what got you to where you're at today does not get you where you need to go. And so that you have to embrace the change. You have to, and you have to embrace the risk of it all. So that's what I took out of it. I think is really cool.
I really think if you guys listen to that, I think you should replay what Cade just said, go back to where he began talking and listen to it again, because I agree. It really is incredible, and then he actually shared with us, Andrew, a little bit about that, about how his business has changed and how he's increased and grown new verticals within his business based upon what has actually shifted and changed accordingly. And he's acquired different things and he's thought different ways, different things over time. And so I think like, you look at it from that perspective and it's just an interesting way to view things, but it's kind of funny how it lines up exactly to the closed mind, like, right? Like always keeping your mind, because you might be saying, hey, going out and prospecting this way works for me right now. I'm never going to do anything else again. But in the future, it might not be the most efficient place to spend your time. Your time might be better spent elsewhere, but you won't learn that
Yeah.
until you try. And so, yeah, again, just it's trial
Yeah,
and error, and it's just not closing your mind to all the potential opportunities you have, because you'll naturally make yourself more efficient as time goes on.
for sure. I love it. Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, cool. Well, that is all. So again, April 26th, 5:30, 8:30. Come meet us. If you haven't, come show up and just listen. I think we're gonna have an amazing speaker and a lot of fun. So
Absolutely. For sure. Well, thank you, Drew.
thank you, Kate. We'll talk to you soon.
Later.